Hey guys, this is Steve here, and I know I said I would give you a PvP video, but right now I just don't feel like going into a battleground just yet. I will still give you one with the guild event tonight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going over my Frost Mage, my spec, and my normal battle plan whenever I go into combat. I will be starting an extra series I'm doing, as well as the daily rated battlegrounds, where I will be showing you how to deal with each individual class in the cooldown versus cooldown PvP perspective. So firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my spec as a Frost Mage when I do PvP. This is my normal spec, which is where I use like doing dailies, just in world PvP you need it for survivability and mana regen. So I've got that in case I encounter world PvP encounters, etc. But on with my main spec, you obviously want to go into Frost. Well, this is my spec, you can choose whatever you want. So I choose Frost, you get the Frost specialization and the your mastery, and I take 32 points into Frost, picking up very vital talents such as Icy Veins, Cold Snap, Ice Fire, and Deep Freeze. I skip Piercing Chill, and the reason I skip this is because your Frostbolt criticals apply the chill effect firstly, for this to actually apply, your Frostbolt needs to crit, and this costs 2 points, and you can spread it up to 2 targets. It's not my cup of tea. Personally, you can, well, in my opinion, you can take out this if you really want to get this talent, but I prefer Shattered Barrier. I skip Ice Shards because it's basically a PvE talent. Ice Lance does get that extra range, but the bottom line is most of the time the freeze targets are going to be quite close to them anyway, so this talent doesn't seem very necessary, and Enduring Winter, PvE obvious, don't take that. I skip Reactive Fire because it seems basically like a cheap death, so I kind of ignore that. All the other talents are taken, apart from those 4. I dip into Fire, and why do I dip into Fire? Well, I want to dip in to get Impact. This talent is kind of useless, but you just take it to fill up the slots. I also take Improved Fire Blast. What this does is it increases the critical chance of your Fire Blast by 8%, which is added on 10% critical basically, and increases its range by 10 yards. So your Fire Blast now has 40 yards, unlike before when it had 26, which was really bad. And Impact, it gives your damaging spells a 10% chance to reset the cooldown on your Fire Blast and cause your next Fire Blast target to stun and spread the fire DOT, but you're not going to have any DOT. So I'm going to show you how that procs. So it gives you 10% chance, so I'm just going to sit, and there goes the Impact proc. So that will stun the target, and that works out well since you'll be casting Frostbolt and Ice Lance. It works for any spell you cast. So it can trigger off a Cone of Cold. It can actually trigger off the Fire Blast itself. As you see, it just did it there, and it will instantly hit the cooldown, and you can use it again, which is really good. And you obviously go into Improved Counter Spell, which is a tier 1 talent. Pretty staple. Now my professions are quite different than before. I've taken Engineering, and the reason I've done that is I've got my haste on my gloves, which still needs work. Ignore my enchants, I was leveling enchanting a long time ago. And I took, if I can find it, Nitro Boots, which give you that speed boost, which is really good in PvP, but you can't really use it while carrying flags or in rated battlegrounds, which means I did get that little nerf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the standard rotation. So what in PvP, your idea as a Frost Mage is to keep your targets away from you at all times. So basically what the whole mechanic of the Frost Mage is to pull off the Shatter combo, which consists of getting a double crit like that. There's a 53k crit just by pulling that combination off. That is something you need to do as much as possible. Now, before I go into explaining any more, I just wanted to show you that damage. I'm going to go over the glyphs that I use for this spec. The glyphs that I'm using are the glyph of Frostbolt, which increases your critical chance of your Frostbolt by 5%. Now, you may turn around to me and say, oh, if you're taking that glyph, why aren't you taking this here? Well, the vast majority of the times in PvP, your focus as a Frost Mage, you can deal with more than one person, but in a rated battleground situation, which is what I play, you don't need this talent, and it doesn't help much because you've got so many ways to slow them down anyway, so that's not why I take that. I take the glyph of Cone of Cold, which will increase your damage by 25%. I used to take the glyph of Deep Freeze, but it's now completely PvE since it doesn't do damage in PvP. I take the glyph of Molten Armor, and why did I do that? Your Molten Armor grants an additional 2% spell critical strike chance. So I'm going to take off my buff, and if I put up my character, you will see that my crit chance now unbuffed is 17.22. If I take off all my buffs, my crit chance is 17.22. If I put on my Molten Armor, I get a 22% crit chance, and what the Shatter talent does now is it multiplies your critical chance against frozen targets by 3 and increases the frostbolt damage done by 20%. So what it does now is it effectively just multiplies this, which gives me effectively a 66.66 crit chance, which is way better than what it was actually before for less talent points, so that's great. Now, for the major glyphs, I take the Glyph of Arcane Brilliance, I take the Glyph of Evocation, just so you heal, the Blink, which means you can blink further, and your Glyph of Icebreaker, so you absorb 30% more damage. You can change the Glyph of Blink for several other things if you want. You can change it to the Frost Nova, the Frost Armor, which I have in my PvE spec, my standard spec, or you can take Ice Block. I personally just like the Blink to get that distance because I carry the flag a lot in Warsong Gulch, and it does help. So, whenever you're doing PvP in general, the idea is you want to keep your targets away from you as long as possible. Keeping your Ice Bar up is very, very important. I will be showing you duels, etc. in future videos. This is just a guide. You want to pull off the Shatter combo as much as possible. And once you've done that, you can throw your Deep Freeze and you can pull off the same combination. Now what I'm going to show you now is the most powerful burst that I've got. And what this burst consists of is using every cooldown you possibly can. So we're going to use Time Warp, and we're going to use Icy Veins. I just need to wait down for 30 seconds for that to go away. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you this ability here. This ability is called Ring of Frost. Now this is a great ability, and I specialize my character into doing this because my character has that that blink, which will blink him quite a long range. Now what I do with this Ring of Frost is I use this spell most of the time very defensively. In the middle of a fight, I'll be fighting. Whenever I'm ready, I will, well, just waiting for the blink, I'll be fighting my paladins or whatever. Whenever you need to play defensively, you turn around and you blink right into this. Using your Glyph of Blink, you can blink yourself a little bit further, and you can actually use this very, very defensively, because any target that walks through that, they will be frozen. Now, I will be doing that a lot in the dueling videos that you will see. And what I'm going to do now, just to show you to end this video quickly, is to do a quick boost of the best damage you can get from me. There it is. Boom. Now, tell me now that someone isn't going to get killed by that. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time. I'll be having tons more dueling videos and PvP guides per class.